We are live. Oh, that's still me. Brain.
I love you.
Can you
I
tell that
love and
it's
treasure
been a while?
I pick you up and I hold you to the microphone.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another Toonkind at 12 FPS. This is one that we've tried to do before, and, well, life happens and we get fucking tired as shit. But we're here now, and we're doing it, and we're having a grand old time. It absolutely hasn't been a very long bit. Don't worry about it. Anyways.
We're taking our spoons and we're making wind chimes out of them. They're very pretty.
Jesus. Anyways, I am Babble. I am both your DM, Hellraiser, and somebody else for the day. A perpetual 5-year-old. And I am joined by the wonderful, the fantastic, the most beloved Sibster darling of mine.
I knew you were gonna do it, and yet I still go
Suffer, motherfucker.
I love you too. I will bless all your socks and turn them cotton. Anyway, hi everyone! It's me, Vwild, forever on the bullshit. And today I hold up my humble monkey, who's at it again with her usual tomfoolery, japes, and chaos, and, smarts, because she is a good detective. We'll see what kind of form she takes today.
Well, today she's getting heckled by a god, so.
Indeed. Indeed, and she shall have interesting events with said god, I'm sure.
As is the theme with Aeon. Anyways.
Indeed. Hey boy, ahoy. Alright. And I think this is where we dive in, eh?
Mm-hmm.
So it is a calm past evening. It is nighttime in Halloween Town. And as is typical with Lynn, when we go, hey, are we going to have an interesting time tonight? I rolled her a Frey die, and she got a 76 and a 92. So, 76, she is not having the best of nights. And sometimes she does, go raven form so that she can, stay in bed with Craigery because it's comfy and she loves him. But, I mean, she does love her QPR. Her partner is the best. But tonight she has decided to calmly and quietly get up, leave a note to inform I've gone out, I will be back. And is going on a walk to stretch the leggies, because that can do good for chronic pain from time to time. And she will go to the woods, because sometimes you do like, the night air and the forest. Not too far out, because we all know what happened to Gibbs. And she ain't in the business of getting yoinked.
Yeah.
She knows her boundaries and she knows her limits and she knows how far she's willing to go. And she does trust Kara. And so she's staying within a decent boundary of town, just far enough out that she can stretch her legs without, disconcerting the local population with the sound of the crack and pop.
Well, as you're doing
She is.
this,
Mm-hmm.
roll me a perception check.
Ooh, a Presepi. We love a Presepi.
Mm-hmm.
That is a 19 plus 12. So even with, focusing on herself and everything else, she is keeping an awareness because she's paranoid as peck. I think the thing just ate my dice roll, but that is fine.
I
There we
sit
go,
here
31.
and I have to laugh because, like, I was contemplating having Aeon roll stealth, and then you said plus 12, and I'm like, oh,
Mhm.
Aeon has no chance of beating that. Aeon might be a level 80 god, but like their uh their stealth is a plus 5.
I'm sorry, what level is it?
Their stealth is a plus 5. They don't have anything really. Like their highest stat is dex. But they didn't take any proficiencies or expertise in stealth. So
Okay, that is fucking hilarious. But brilliant.
so they couldn't hide, I guess, from Lynn if they tried. And I I'm gonna say that they probably did try. And like a 5-year-old, they got caught red-handed. There's just a face in the woods just smiling down at you, Lynn, with starry pupils with swirls in the center. Completely black and white.
And she had been making her way along. And then she does see that. And before she does anything else, she is going to listen. Just see if anything about the area's changed. Because you've said something specific about the Aeon when Aeon pops people a visit before.
Mm-hmm.
And how Aeon makes time stop.
Mm-hmm.
I'm presuming with a goddamn 31, she's probably picked up on that as well.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. The clouds that were overhead have since stopped moving. There's this weird kind of twilight haze over the rest of the world around her. There's probably an owl flying overhead, but it's not moving, even though its wings are out, and it should be soaring, you think? But it's just kind of stuck there, midair, frozen. And if there was wind blowing in the trees, well, the trees aren't moving, and neither is the wind anymore.
Um, on getting that, she did slow from her. It was a calm meander sort of thing instead of a normal brisk pace. But it did slow, and it did just calmly. She did calmly stop and just take all that in. And I think it was a slow scan of the place, and then just laying her eyes on this other being who's here. And she has seen that decal before. She does know who this is, even if they haven't. I think they vaguely interacted in deniability,
I
but they've not talked face to face.
I'm pretty sure plausible deniability happened after this.
Ah, not. Very well then. Then I'm gonna roll history because she's seen that black star with the white swirl in it before
Mm-hmm.
in the pins in what was its name? Broken message. That's the bitch.
Yeah.
All right. Just give me 1 second. I need to pop something out so that I can do stuff without glitching out my screen. Right. History. History. Plus 6. 21.
21?
So,
Yeah.
mhm.
Reasonable assumption that this is the god responsible for that pin. This would be the first time that
Mhm.
you have actually met the god yourself, though, outside of that very brief,
Mhm.
like, interaction that you saw them have with Jacques and Asclepius, which they seem to have already had an interaction or two.
Yep. And you know what? In her head, it's very much a This might as well happen. Life is already so goddamn weird. Everything happens all the time. She is not passing any judgment yet, besides settling into a slightly defensive stance and just smiling up and going, well and well met then.
Well, if you want to start with that, sure. It's a lovely evening, don't you think? It's a bit late for you to be out roaming about, though. I can take a lucky guess as to why.
Well, besides that I live in a spooky town with a good amount of nocturnal folks. I mean, you said it. It's a wonderful night. And ambient, good crisp air before, stopped. Something I like to appreciate.
Hmm. You can't fool these eyes. They might be swirling and all over the place, but a physical mask wouldn't even be able to hide the pain that you're in. Not from me, at least. And I say this as the DM, who, looking at their insight, is a plus 44.
Yeah. And she does shift ever so slightly. There is the vaguest widening of her eyes before it settles, because this is a god. This is a god, but it does melt back into a very casual coolness. And okay, there is a slight subtle shuffle because yes, ow, the sketch is bad today. But she does just go, wasn't a complete mask. I do genuinely enjoy the night.
Hmm. It's my favorite time. One would argue that every inch of time is my favorite, but well, I feel like I have a right to be a little biased, considering that is my domain. And by this point, they have started floating down like the Cheshire cat tends to, very smoothly, and they're kind of on their back in front of her at this point. Their body mostly there now. Your tail still kind of in the ether, it seems.
Mm-hmm. And she does just calmly take that in and goes, what a time. Makes sense. Makes sense.
Time
Yeah.
and space, but I digress. I share time in and of itself with my twin.
Hmm.
I already know your name, but formalities. I'm Aeon.
Well then, a pleasure to be formally introduced. Mix, Aeon?
I did not hear that last part.
She went Mix, Aeon, and there was a slight eyebrow raise in the have I got the correct honorific sort of thing.
There's no change in their expression or how they move. They don't seem to care.
And so she just rolls with it and just goes, you already know who I am, but Detective Lillian Stagehand. A pleasure.
The detective, as I have come to understand, very much so a pleasure.
Well, I must say, while I enjoy pleasurable conversations, I believe I'm saying this, there's always a time and a place for things. What brings you by?
By that alone, it doesn't take much to put together that you are very, very smart. I'm assuming that you have already figured out that there is a tie between me and your little fox friend.
Indeed. An interesting connection there.
An unfortunate one.
Hmm.
It's not every day that a sibling of the Pantheon decides to fuck around and find out with a mortal. But I guess that's what my sibling death did. And I have been chasing them, trying to clean up the mess. With the help of my twin, and, well, given the fact that this keeps happening, I'm assuming you can already figure out how well that's been going.
Indeed. Experienced a great deal. More than we can fathom.
I know. I unfortunately know.
At
That
least.
said.
Oh, you go.
Oh,
Hmm.
sorry.
It's quite alright. Just I gesture at you. You go.
Ah! Aeon just. Like, they perpetually smile. They don't really seem to ever not be smiling. That's just their face.
Mm-hmm.
But even they manage to look troubled by this. There are very few strings that I can pull. But what strings I can pull are very powerful, but they're very limited. And there are things that I cannot do without mortal help at this point. I've already gotten. I've had the conversation already with your, spooky grandparents, I believe you've called them.
Hi.
Time and time again, they seem baffled by that.
I have a penchant for eccentric nicknames.
And quite frankly, if you can baffle them, then you've already got one up. I digress. You and it seem to have a rather interesting connection. And you, being as smart as you are, it trusts you in a way that it has not trusted anybody else in a very long time. Or even anybody else at all.
How so?
Hard to put my finger on it. It sees you as young, this is true, and I'm sure that you've probably already had this conversation or will have that conversation soon. Don't you worry your pretty little head.
Time isn't linear for you. I understand that.
Time is a
Intriguing.
line, but I float through it as I please. Of course, I can't go backwards without destroying a past version of myself, but that's neither here nor there.
Indeed, indeed. Past and future running free, all that sort. Fascinating to think upon.
Eh, it gets old. Not as old as
As
me.
you are.
I'm both the oldest and the youngest of the Pantheon. It comes with the trade.
Indeed. I can
Anyways,
see.
off track.
Well, we have as the saying goes, pardon the pun, all the time in the world. Or rather, a snatch of a moment, I see.
It's one of my favorite things to do, and it always irks me sometimes how people think that time has slowed. No, dear, it's completely stopped for a minute.
You've put a pin in it. Put it one way, perhaps.
The grin widens, and they don't think they need to elaborate on that.
The answering smile certainly says something. But, to get back on topic about Gibbs,
Well,
I'm
it sees you as both young, but also a caregiver, in a sense. It trusts you. It's very curious.
well, I am happy to be of service when it comes to it. I care about it greatly. It's it's a very good friend, and I want to see it thrive. Stars, saws, and plots know it's been through enough. It deserves gentle times, which it probably won't get. But we can try. We can give what we can.
Trust me when I say that it has, since coming to Halloween Town, had a better time of it than I expected.
This town is good to folks. It's found good people.
This town is full of surprises, it seems.
Best places are.
Indeed. I hadn't expected the relationship that it would have with you. I absolutely didn't expect anything that had to do with Corvus. I didn't see that coming. And it says a lot when a god can't see that coming. Especially a god of time, don't you think? Don't get me wrong, I'm pleasantly surprised.
Well, entropy is a fascinating topic.
There are dangers that come with this, though. I believe you have already been made aware. But that pin that I put in Gibbs that made that, well, Heart's Cradle, I believe it was called. That's not the first pin that I've stuck in its heart.
You mentioned death earlier.
Yes. Death, my twin, and I have all three been fighting over it, so to speak. My twin and I have been fighting to try and keep it alive. try and
And
break it free from the hold that death has on it.
the golden chains.
Yes. Unfortunately, there's fuck all I can do about that. Not without getting at death themselves, and that is a task in and of itself that has become difficult. It's about biding time, unfortunately. Biding time for this in particular life. For my twin to open a particular portal, but that can only happen when it dies.
I see.
You would think getting it done sooner would help the process, but unfortunately, I don't believe that, and thankfully, neither does my twin. We're in agreement on this.
And Lynn is nodding as this is going on, and it is a very somber, professional, calm expression on her face as she's just nodding along with this all. It has died countless times and
Yes.
gone through great deals. If so much before has failed to stop this, it's it's foolish to bluster and say this time it will be different, but just maybe, Inkwell, maybe here, the events that take place can be what it needs to have something. Happy ending, perhaps. We can hope, right? It's worth it to fight for.
Make me an insight check.
Will do. That is a 17 plus 6.
The way their smile becomes kind of jagged and curves a little downward, surprisingly, at one of the corners. The strain. There's something wrong.
And she studies that. It's not going to get a happy ending, is it? Not as it is.
That I am uncertain. But I am certain of
Oh,
one thing. If we don't stop it here, in this life, then there will be no others. This is its last stop. For death destroys it.
Death's done playing toy soldier.
Indeed. And in its defense, there is only so much a toy can take before it's too broken to play with.
Then what can we do?
That is where my job becomes increasingly difficult. And they sit down cross legged in front of her. I can only give you hints. I can give you nudges. I can give you vastly vague descriptions. But I cannot say exactly. There are certain questions that I cannot answer.
Makes sense.
I can point you in the right direction, but I cannot make you do anything. If I were to influence you in any fashion, that would be direct. It could alter the timeline.
Cold war between the gods. But understandable. There are some things that would break us, or some things, as you said, that would break a timeline. Some things we can't know until the right time. Perhaps we'll never know. Especially with everything so high wire and it so fragile.
Hmm. It's like rewinding a VHS tape. Too much. You can get it to the cusp, but if you turn it after that, everything that you've done spills out.
Hmm. Aye. Okay.
There's information
But
that I have for you.
I'm presuming I have to ask for it, eh?
Smart girl.
I try. It's about providing it a chance. Sometimes a chance is all anyone needs. And we can make sure we do everything we can to bolster it, give it the advantages. I mean, every advantage is an edge that you can stick between an enemy's ribs.
And it's quite good at that.
And she doesn't quite sit herself, but she does lean back against a tree. It's in a way that rests her legs without, making her completely vulnerable by fully sitting. And there is a focus to her eyes and the way her tail sways. Things are going to go to hell in a handbasket, aren't they?
Indeed, there's many ways it could happen. Corvettes added a way in which I didn't realize. Not until I had to, stop the first time from happening.
I see. I'll I'll circle back to that.
Hmm.
I think you know the question I'll ask on that topic, but we'll circle back to it. I guess perhaps to start with, go a little broad. What, Aeon, what can we mortals, us mortals who have been chosen seems presumptuous, but mortals that we have chosen it, what can we do to increase its chances of breaking this cycle? Helping you win for it?
The contract that it has with death. The terms are that it has to have a happy ending.
You cut out there.
Oh, shit.
Bless you.
What did you hear?
Last word was contract.
The contract that it has with death entails that it will only be broken, quote unquote, when it has a happy ending, and it finds that. It's not elaborated on what that means. But I suspect that the contract is technically null and void. If when it ends, it's happy. The best
Somehow,
advice. Go ahead.
somehow, happy ending. Never quite liked happy ending. Living happily, yes, but ending, that's a full stop. Why does that feel suspicious?
It's not one that I have been fond of either. That contract was very clearly tailored to ensure that it couldn't.
Hmm.
However, if it's happy in its last few moments, that technically meets the contract's end, doesn't it?
As I suspected. Hmm.
It isn't ideal,
No.
but but it is a foot in the door. Gets us to break a contract legally by rubbing it in their face instead of actually having to fight them. And by us, I more so mean you.
Hmm.
Quite frankly, I wouldn't even have my twin with me. They wouldn't be able to go where death is with you. And, well, like I said, I have my limits.
Mm-hmm.
Certain things would need to be met, and, well, they wouldn't be met at that moment.
All right.
Best advice that I can give to fully answer your question: keep doing what you're doing.
Well, I was already going to do that. Okay.
I know it's not too reassuring, but I hope that it is reassuring enough for you to know that you are doing very well.
Always trying. Are there Are there any other options we can take within all of this? To likely paths. We want to avoid breaking it or pushing it, and we are. We keep doing what we're doing. But is there anything specifically to avoid, or anything that you would encourage?
Corvettes cannot know that this is how that happened. Corvettes cannot know at all that this is inevitable. From what I understand, he seems to believe that he can stop it entirely, but the truth is that he cannot. I cannot. The Pantheon's mother cannot. Mother Moon.
Hmm.
If we cannot
Makes
stop
sense.
it, he cannot. It is inevitable and it is unfortunate. He cannot know that. He has to figure that out for himself. But there is one thing that you must know.
Okay.
But in order to answer that half of that question, I need another question from you.
And she nods as she's taken everything in. For all she is young, she does look old in this moment as she's looking at you. Amusing in a way. I guess she's a microcosm. You are incredibly old and incredibly young. And here you see a young monkey looking very old. But she does nod and she just goes, on the subject of All Hallow, I understand secrets and their importance. I will ensure on my part that he does not find out. There are several factors you have not informed me of, and I shall let them lie until the time is right. You have my word. As for the question, am I to assume it's the one I was going to first ask?
Only one way to find out, isn't there?
I mean, I could ask directly on that one, but I won't. I won't keep troubling you on every question.
The only way you can get answers is if you ask. And without asking, there's nothing I can give.
Intriguing. I'm not gonna like the answer, am I?
No.
Well, doesn't change anything. And thank you, Fern. I'm going to turn you off, you piece of shit.
Please pardon
But
that brief interruption.
yes, bless the mess. But she does just stop, and she does look at that owl up above. Just think about things, and she just goes, People always wish for more time with their loved ones. Hmm. Not knowing when the end will come can be both bliss and uncertainty. Just as we both know knowledge can be a blessing and a curse. And I have carried many curses, of knowledge and otherwise. And I will carry many more still.
Before we continue, please understand my intentions are not to break you.
You won't. I'm already broken, Aeon. And I'm more than fine with that. It is better to know and to be able to prepare than not and be blindsided. I don't know how others would react in my place if the spooks would choose the same, but much as it might hurt, much as I might dislike it, I am certain that I wish to know, so.
You'd be surprised by how similar your reactions were.
Perhaps I would be. Guess I should, choose my words wisely. Hey.
As always, the more precise the question, the more I may be able to give you an answer.
Alright.
I cannot guarantee.
Okay. We are doing all we can. We will keep doing so. There will be an event. And I'm puzzling it out right now. I'll get to my exact question. You'll know when, obviously, but there will be an event. One Corvitz will be involved in sometimes, but not always. And there will be a great deal of things, but it will come down to a single point. A hell in a handbasket moment that we will need to act with. Turning point for Gibbs. And it certainly has motifs. A motif I've been noticing for quite a while.
It has always been known to have rather explosive anger. But it doesn't get angry often. That's something that people don't seem to really realize.
Barbarian that doesn't rage. Well, does once or twice. For the right people, but Aeon. When will Gibbs explode?
In 6 months. 6 months from the day that I put the first pin in it. It almost did. Already.
And we know the mechanism of why of that.
If you're not careful, a simple I love you uttered from its mouth could do a world of hurt.
Will anyone else be directly hurt when it happens?
Emotionally, physically, or mentally.
Emotional and mental can be handled. Let's go physical. It would be devastated to find out it hurt a loved one in that moment.
The act of it exploding? No.
There's more to it though, eh?
There always is.
Tell me.
I can't.
Is that because I have not asked the right question, or because it is something I cannot know?
I cannot tell you.
Hmm. Alright. Hasn't happened yet, after all. Or different parts of it have already happened that you've seen.
Many.
Ad infinitum.
No. With each passing day, one gets struck down, a new one starts. But as it gets closer to that 6-month mark, fewer and fewer there tend to be bleh words.
Alright.
What all do you know
Is
about
there
how
anything
time?
else that you...
Go ahead.
No, you go first.
Let me ask you a question.
Alright.
What all do you know and understand about how time and life are intertwined?
Tricky question. I mean, time existed before life. At the same time, measurement of time is created by beings, by sentient beings, by the living. But it existed long before us.
Time can.
Life revolves around time. Eventually time will stop. After life has. Memory too.
Memory is something that I have no control over. That would be my twin.
I thought as much. You are time and space. Your twin is time and memory.
Indeed. That poor bird is going to remember all of those.
Yes. On the plus side, the mind is fickle for animals. It'll recover. It'll recover.
It'll be fine.
If anything, I'm thinking of another bird right now. It makes sense on certain fronts with a memoir trying to help the heart. The struggle between you and your twin and yourself and death. All that triangle makes sense why memoir couldn't help the heart. But I digress. Please, carry on as you were.
There are certain aspects in which block each other out between my twin and I. In most circumstances, Memoir's magic would have no problems interacting with depths. But mine was already in the way, and for that I apologize. However, it was necessary.
More than understandable.
The thing about time, life, and death. The thing about me is a god. I have the power to take time away from another person. I have the power to give time to another person. But I cannot give time without first taking it. And that time has to come from somewhere.
Makes sense. Matter, energy. It's not really create or destroy, it's convert. Balance. Everything has a balance. Everything has a price.
And unfortunately, the price for keeping Gibbs alive an extra 6 months after it confessed that to the thrall that it did, in fact, love Halloween Town. was the price that I had to take from another person. Granted, that person owed Gibbs greatly for damages that he caused it. But irregardless, I could not do that without his consent, for one. Oh, well, I could. It wouldn't be very ethical of me, now would it?
Regard, there's orange morality, I assume, but
I try.
ethics can be. And we thank you for that. All right. So those 6 months were from another?
They were indeed. Those 6 months are only 6 months, and it started from the very moment that that pin got put into its heart.
This time now, but we can work with it. And when it does happen, we will have to react.
And Corvettes cannot know a thing until the moment that it happens.
You will find out nothing from me. And I will not tell anyone else.
Hmm.
Would you prefer I told someone then?
I leave that up to you as long as it does not get back to Corvettes. Perhaps some discussion between you and your spooky grandparents would do you both well.
Understood.
In the meantime, well, time is ticking. I believe it is almost the beginning of December at this point, and the kidnapping happened around the beginning of November. Slowly trickling down to only 4.5 months.
Will I still be... Will it happen before another event? Before it's my turn?
I cannot guarantee, but it is the most likely.
Okay. Okay. Then we'll work with this. We'll work with this. I mean, there's a few of us that will be wanting to come to its aid. We fight tooth and claw and beyond that for our own. And Gibbs certainly has picked up quite the group. Spooks, Memoir, Corvettes.
It has.
Chateau.
It has indeed. And perhaps it is a good thing that it happens before your turn comes. You thought it was
I think.
upset when Hugh and Memoir were taken? You don't want to know what it would do when your 2 turns came up.
It's not going to be pretty.
It is not. It's odd. I don't know all of the events, but in many of the futures that I see, it's not near here. I don't know where it is. It's alive, but not here.
All right. I mean, quite frankly, it's spent too long on the front lines, too long being a front soldier. From how it holds itself, from the look in its eyes, it's been doing this since it was very, very young.
Too young.
Well,
Did you know
if
that
it can be
Covey
spoiled,
children are technically infants, genuine infants that still rely on their mothers until they're 10?
how old was it?
When everything started? Mm,
I
around 5, perhaps younger. It didn't learn how to count. And, well, at the time, I didn't see any reason to keep track of that. Then Ness started meddling. They can tell you that it was exactly 2 days after turning 10 that it died.
Well, there's souls and plots.
The Covey name for death is kind death, loosely translated from Covey to common. There was nothing kind about how it died.
I assumed as much. And in the time it was alive before then, it would have witnessed atrocities. Committed them, perhaps, but I don't think I quite want the answer to that.
Committed atrocities, not so much. It tried to stain.
Others wouldn't have liked that, eh?
Those who had control of it didn't. And there were times where it didn't have a choice.
Understandably. It was a child.
Younger than a
Well,
child.
it was a babe.
Perhaps the most unfortunate.
The world should have protected it, and instead, it shoves weapons in its hand. What a grave and foul injustice that is. What a tragedy.
From where
But
I sit, from where others sit, most wouldn't assume that. From where I sit, everyone is a fool when they scoff at its distaste.
but
Jacques is surprised that it had a gun. That
it
surprised him.
doesn't
But at the same time, it
shoot.
didn't.
Well, that's hardly surprising. All the time. It's surprising and yet not at the same time. But I don't think it shoots around the manor or such, and keeps the gun pretty decently concealed. And one does not expect a blind fox to shoot. I mean, I knew, but I keep a case file and an eye on anyone.
You'd be surprised how much hearing can be used.
I have a blind cousin. I'm very aware of what a hearing can do.
You must be very aware as of now, as far as I'm aware. I believe it was the blind fox that taught the blind dragonfly how to shoot, anyways.
Indeed, and how to fly. Poor things. Yeeted my cousin. Yeeted them. But
It's a common game that it's played. It's his favorite game. If you ever hear it say, yeet the Khajiit, perhaps putting something underneath where it may land might be a good idea.
that does sound incredibly prudent. Sounds like something my family does. No wonder it gets along with us. I will make a note of that for the future. Well, what's in the past is in the past. It's for us. We cannot change any of it.
There's a little bit of a smirk to that. They don't elaborate, though.
As she said it, she had been just slightly looking off to one side as she'd crossed her arms over her chest, that sort of thing. She did glance back just briefly after she'd said that because she realised a few things in her head, and she's just like, I have a feeling that's going to be plot relevant in the future, but I'm going to let it lie for now.
Excellent choice. Speaking of, to completely change the subject, since I'm pretty sure that we're done with that part of the conversation, have you ever considered a cane?
Yes. I have. It's I brought it up in conversations before.
Good, when
Got
are
a
you
few
planning on getting one?
At some point, you are aware I have been fighting in a war with a volleyball head, plotting another war, dealing with several kids. I have had a lot happening. So much, all of the time.
I point at
It's
Jacques.
definitely... Yes, Jacques had one for a long time. I want one, yes, especially because I have seen so many other detectives who damn need one, but don't have them, and I know my status as the detective. If I go around with one, it's going to make it easier for them, and I want it to be easier for the next generation. I want them to have it better than I did. I want everything for them.
Then
that I
why
didn't
are
get.
you waiting? Oh my god! Do you have any idea how painful it is?
You are the god! You are a literal god of time! Of course you're saying, oh my god, I am trying! Unfortunately, you draft up plans and you figure out stuff and you try and contact people, but then plot grabs you by the thing and suddenly you're in another taken place!
Well, guess what?
And I...
Here! And they pull one from their hammer space.
She'd actively, stood up slightly and then had to brace because turns out when you lean against something too long, your legs start going, and she did hear a crack. And I rolled a con and she got 2.
Don't do that, it hurts.
I got up! It's fine, the pain is inconsequential, I've had it way worse. You know I've had it worse, but what? Excuse me?
Cane, take it. Take the cane. Take the cane. I'm tired of waiting. I am so tired of waiting. I have been patient for months. Cane.
You do realise, seeing as you go backwards and forwards in time, you know what, I'm not going to look the gift horse in the mouth. Thank you. Gift cat in the Cheshire map, and she's reaching out with her good hand, and she is taking this cane. Like, she's rambling. She is also doing the sensible thing of taking the cane. Because, yes, you do genuinely want. It's just, unfortunately, time has not been kind in the let me get the cane.
And time is just staring at her with wide eyes and that Cheshire cat grin, unmoving, holding the cane out to her like, take the damn cane.
Yeah. And she does take it, and then she does just. She leans back again, like props her elbow against the tree so that she can inspect, and just goes, "Good heft to it. I mean, obviously, and craftsmanship. Oh, I love the handle. It's a pumpkin. I wanted the pumpkin. It was taking me a pagan age to figure out who would do a good pumpkin on it. Thank you. I love it. Genuinely.
You can thank your future self. I may have stolen it from them.
Oh, that's going to be fun when that happens.
Different timeline. If that doesn't happen, if certain things don't happen, it won't bother them. They won't need it.
Perhaps.
But then at that point,
Oh,
that
hopefully.
timeline won't exist, so.
Indeed, indeed. And hey, if she's smart, she'll have contingencies in place. And she does actually take a moment, and you do see the like she has those marks at the corners of her eyes, the laughter lines and stress lines, but they crease in a way that is genuinely happy as she plants the cane and then leans on it. And you see her right hand that is okay-ish, but is definitely on one of the days where it's bad. It's slightly clawed. And she fits her hand over this cane head, and it fits perfectly. Of course it does. It's hers, but it fits completely and perfectly like a new part of the design coming into place. And she does relax slightly with it. That's nice. Didn't I didn't need it yet, but it's nice.
I don't think I need to be the one to tell you that any pain is called for aid.
Meh.
I would argue that you've needed it for a while now.
Perhaps.
If it would help, it's needed.
You're a god of time and you oversee all, but I hope I know myself. I have things in place to help as much as I can. I've had things in place. I've had the supplements, I've had the stretches, and using things in intriguing ways.
And yet
I know
you
how to
have
make
been.
items work.
And yet, until this point, you did not have a cane. And
But you can tell.
their eyes are squinting. Like, they are giving you so much fucking grief for this.
You can tell I was trying, genuinely. I did have the contingency in place. It's just events happen and they're not merciful. I don't need it every day. I mean, I'm mainly a hermit nowadays, Aeon. The places I go are my home or the manor or around town. Every now and then outside. I mean, I've got the entire thing with, the Pokemon and all of that picking bullshit. But I don't go out. I don't go places where I'd need a cane.
Even on its best of days, when Gibbs tends to use its wheelchair throughout the manor.
I'll think about using this. I won't deny myself it when I need it. Don't worry on that front. But
I trust
I'll
that
get a
you
climb
won't.
test.
For every minor inconvenience that you suffer from this point on, know that it is me.
Okay, I'd like to say a few of those are going to be my own doing. Or my picnic. Or possibly sweetheart. But I'm taking you with it, honestly.
Some of them might even be Gibbs.
Of course, some of them are going to be Gibbs. Gibbs is mischievous as heck.
You're going to love
Look
what I
at it.
have planned for its birthday.
I'd love to know when that is.
Oh, it's the 21st of December.
Huh. All right, noted. Well, that means I've got time. Pick, fantastic. I've got time to make the gift. Well, I already had a gift, and I've been working on it, but now I can step it up double time because I was eventually going to figure it out. But this is absolutely jumpstart stuff. Pick and fantastic. I get to finish off a varnish. Fantastic. Pick and fantastic. Okay.
Ironically enough, like
Oh,
I've said, Gibbs doesn't know how to count, so it doesn't know when its birthday is. Not that time means anything to it anymore, anyways.
oh. But it means a lot to you.
Time is everything to me. Literally.
Indeed. Like, she's leaning forward on the cane and she does just lift her left hand and gesture at you in a evidently gesture. It's surprising just how much sass is kept in this tiny monkey in this gesture and eyebrow raise alone.
It's.
Right.
I'm loving this, how much shit they're giving each
Mhm.
other.
Indeed. I do have one question pertaining to Gibbs, actually.
Hmm.
Gibbs's memory is it's lost a lot, which makes sense seeing as how much is in there. Anything eventually falls to the wayside when there's so much, but is there any little comfort it has forgotten that it would enjoy in these times? Things we can provide. Either I can subtly nudge the spooks or corvets or such into doing, or that I can do myself. Or Chateau and memoir as well, but any little things that have been lost to time. Hmm?
Here I am trying to think about that because it's just like, oh.
This has been a question I've had in the back of my head for months that Lena's kept on kicking in my door with and then kicking me with. I hope you know.
There's quite a few things that have been lost to time for it, but I can't for the life
Mhm.
of me remember a damn one of them right now.
I mean, you could just say Aeon produces a list.
I think they have to take a moment. And there's a thoughtful look on their face. And they say, when the time is right, I will get back to you on that.
I look forward to it. Thank you.
No, thank you. Until we meet again,
Until then, next Aeon. And she does tilt her head forward, just. It's not a bow, but it is a sign of respect.
Till next time, my dear. And with that, everything seems to restart via the twilight kind of haze that was over everything absorbs into a little light in front of her. And in Aeon's place, where they had previously been sitting, there's a pin with a note on it.
Instead of bending down to get it, she's going to wrap her tail. She's going to reach out with her tail to pick it up and then bring it to her hand. What is it?
You know this pin. You've seen Jacques use it, I believe it was.
It was.
And every time that you, see the heart in Gibbs's chest, it still has one in it, seeming to constantly turn counterclockwise.
Mm-hmm.
The note on it says, in case you ever need to put a pin in it.
One Aeon. And she studies it for a long moment, both the pin and the note, the thumb brushing the edge of it. And she's suddenly got a lot to mull over, considering everything that's just transpired. But she carefully folds the note with one hand and closes her hand around the pin and then tucks it safely into one of her inner pockets, able to reach it when the time's right. And then she does look around the scene, including that poor frazzled owl.
That poor
That
Frau.
poor owl.
That poor owl has landed on the nearest tree and is just fluffed up, looking very wide eyed and just kind of trying to quietly preen itself.
She's just gonna very quietly, very gently just reach into her hammer space. And she keeps pet safe chili and stuff on her, so she's just going to pull out a small ball of that and just put it on the ground for when she's gone. At least this poor sod is gonna have something to, just distract it from all of that. Just forget all of it. Just have some food. It was a weird thing that happened.
It was
And then,
indeed.
yeah. And then she does just look around this scene, and some of that was heavy. Some of that was heavy, and she knows it will be heavy in future. But it still does feel idyllic in a sense. Different and changed, but still good. And then she does, just with her new cane coming in very handy, because with all she just learnt, Sketch may have jumped up a single fray point that she's smoothing down. And then she does just stretch and smooths her gait as she walks back a bit. And then as she's getting into town, her sketch has actually improved enough that, she shoves the cane in Hammer's face.
Immediately, she almost trips.
Ah, minor inconveniences and heckles it is. That's fine. I'll use it when the time's right. And one monkey beyond her years, heckled by a god, does make her way home.
There's a crow that for some reason gets spooked and almost flies and hits her face, trying to fly away.
People are going to wonder why she laughs. People are going to be very concerned about the monkey on that front.
Don't worry about it, she's being heckled by a god.
Just why are you like this, monkey? Why are you like this?
For good reason. There's a 5-year-old god that's angry.
Yeah, angry, and unfortunately, she's a menace. She's a picnic. It's literally her middle name is Reckless Picnic. And before we completely phase out, do we want to jump cut for that final bit?
Oh, absolutely. For I believe it is. What month is it? May.
It gonna be May. I mean, maybe it's May. Okay.
Alright, so we're ending the FPS here. Goodbye.
No! No! No, you love me!
I've never
You
met
want
this.
to do this? I
I will not be at the airport in February.
No!
I'm kidding.
I know this and I love you. But I guess we do cut to nowadays, within network. It's Lynn is at home alone. Well, she's never alone. She's always got her heart with her. Which she is noting. She was pleasantly surprised, when Aeon stopped time, that, she still had network. Which makes sense because it wasn't a taking her out of things, it was just a pin. So of course they were there.
Mm-hmm.
But she's here within network. Matthias is out with Decimal doing, whatever those two do. There's Hattie's off with the sketches. Yes, she is delighted at that. Yes, she is waiting for him to get the picture. Rye's off doing his own thing. Craigery's off doing his own thing. So she's happily vibing with network. And I will say, the cane is at the side of her desk. It is like propped at the side of her desk as she's working on a puzzle box. And
Make me a perception check.
alright. That is a 7. Wait, is that another 17 plus 12? What did I roll earlier?
19.
Ah, shame. It would have been hilarious if we bookended. But no, 29.
It would have. Alright. Well, it takes you a little bit longer, probably because you're also distracted.
Mm-hmm.
But you do see that twilight haze over your usually golden sunlight interior. Yes, hello, child. You are very cute, and I love you. You horny whore. Anyways, but what you don't expect, is that Aeon is now on your desk and, like an asshole, knocks your cane over while looking you dead in the eyes.
And Lynn, on the Twilight Haze coming in, she'd had the box on her desk, and she did just pick it up to hold it in her hands. And as Aeon does that, it's just sprawled across the desk. Does that with the cane, and she's still looking at the box, and then she just side glance and just goes, Well Met by Twilight, Aeon. Do you really have to do that with the cane?
Well, if you're not going to use it.
I'm getting a bit of practice in with it. But I will put it to greater use. Don't worry. You already know that, but it's getting to be time.
You needed a little nudge. And you have
Oh,
too many loose things on your desk, anyways. And they start knocking things off of her desk.
she does go, do not do the mug. Do not do the picture frame. I am genuinely serious on that. Anything else is free reign.
And why do you think I'm avoiding them? And they are making a point of, like, avoiding those two things.
Yes. And she does just genuinely half watch. Like, there is the ear turned towards it. And she is, with your goddamn high insight, she is amused at the same time. It's just exasperated but accepting.
And you can see
It's
it on their face. They are being a petty child.
yeah.
Because you've been
And,
you have frustrated them and they don't know how else to take it out on
and honestly, she's in her head going, you know what, that's fair.
you.
That's fair.
They have other ways that they could absolutely be punishing her, but this is the most tame way that they know of.
Yeah.
This is what their twin
This
has
is
told
the
them is
nice way, and
acceptable.
this is what yes. And they can actually see her tilting her head in just the she knows you could, and she's actually incredibly grateful that you're taking it out this way and not any other. You're a goddamn god. She's grateful, okay?
They are a goddamn god that they have made perfectly aware that they could take the rest of the time that she has on this planet.
Yes. But they do also they can see in the future she genuinely does put it to good use. It's just unfortunately everything happens all of the time, and sometimes the monkey has it slip the mind because, oh god, we're in combat. Okay. What do you mean someone's kicking down my door right now? What do you mean someone's tormenting another genius loci in another location? What do you mean this is happening right now? What do you mean fish? Everything happens to this monkey. This
Everything
monkey's a god.
happens. Everything happens to this monkey, and they are making sure you will not forget at this point.
Indeed.
They are knocking down
Indeed.
literally everything that they know that they are allowed to knock down. Off of the shelves, off of her desk,
Mhm.
everything on the floor that they know they're allowed.
And they do know, even without their intervention now, she would have started using it soon. At the same time, sometimes you just want to be petty. Sometimes you are allowed. And she completely accepts this, and so she just carries on with doing the puzzle box. And just for shiggles, roll me perception or insight, whichever one you like.
Well, I mean, they both have the same modifier.
Just roll for funsies.
Roll for funsies, okay. It's not their best, but they are very distracted.
Indeed.
It's still a
So
53, though.
it takes a moment because you're genuinely enjoying this. And there might be a few things every now and then that are just, why do you have this? Just
Like, their expression does not change, but they stop and they look at the thing in their hands, and they pause for a long moment, and then they just throw it on the ground and keep going. Their expression does not change.
she does just every at one point she does also just go, by the way, do not go into the vault. I know you can. I know you can knock stuff over in there. many different things that will go off when you leave, and some of them are stuff I don't want to deal with. One of them was time travel related. That was an entire case. Oh, that was interesting. But anyway, there are lots of other things in there. Just please, just please. I'm asking, please. And then she does just stop, and it's, you notice it, this very pleased, content look overtakes her face of someone who is solving something that they have wanted to, and there is just the satisfaction of it clicking into place. She just goes, ah, there it is.
Oh,
And
would you look at that? Just in time for what? What is this? What is this? It's like a stress ball. On the floor it goes.
and the stress ball does give it. And she does laugh. And as she does so, it's the puzzle box in her hand, because for our audience, it's, what was it, a DC 18 for doing this thing?
I believe it was, yeah. Which was surprisingly hard for everybody to beat. I think Corvitz hasn't actually tried to yet.
Yeah. It's Lynn's tried in the past. Arcana is not her thing. She's not proficient in it, but what I like to imagine is over the course of these months, she's tried it specifically with the idea that she was going to fail. But if you blunder something repeatedly, you figure out how it works, how it ticks. And so she's been chipping away at it to understand it. So these rolls for our audience, a nat 20, a 16 plus 6, and a 16 plus 6. That is nat 20, 26, 22, 22.
All of
And
which
she
well beat the DC.
indeed, and she does just go, I can understand two reasons why you're here today, but of course, you come at the perfect moment for this, eh?
And I finished making an absolute mess of your office. Go ahead, open it up.
I will.
And they
I mean,
absolutely jump the seat in front of her desk and sit in it. And they fold
mm,
their arms expectantly.
he's a can network experiences as well, if you don't mind. I quite like having my heart in the right place.
I mean, I guess, if you want.
I
Although I
always
wouldn't
do.
let her handle what's inside of it. Simply due to the nature of
Oh,
what it is.
oh, trust me. There are many things she knows she can look at but not touch or mess with. It's the storybook. She still keeps trying to get her mitts on the storybook.
You know, I might let her keep the box. That would be fun and entertaining. All the things that she can get stuck in there.
Why? And with Aeon's permission, there is all of a sudden the warm hum and the slight confusion, and then it's the box! Because Network has seen Lynn working at this box before, and Network is intrigued. And Network can see that the puzzle box is now ready to be opened. And so there is just, Lynn can full on feel it in her chest of just full attention. Alright. And Lynn does open it. What's in the box, Babble? What's in the box?
What's in the box is a golden lighter.
Hmm.
It's old fashioned, and the symbol on it is silver. But the symbol on it is also a flower. I'll let you decide what kind of flower that it is.
Purple columbine.
And it's mostly just the outline with
Mm-hmm.
very few details, and in the center of it is any kind of like gemstone that you think she would like.
I'll get back to you on that one, but she does marvel it. She's turning it over with her good hand and just inspecting it and goes, now, I don't smoke. And, well, arson can be rather fun, but I have a feeling this is for something else, eh? Mind telling me what it does before I go and unleash Pick?
Well, that wouldn't be very fun now, would it? Although you would need to get past your spooky grandparents in order to get a hold of it. I don't know how much more blatant I could make that for you. I believe Digsby herself tried to make it extremely blatant what to do with that. But I don't think anybody's quite understood it yet. I would have hoped that the fireman would.
Digsby. The ring in the box. The Grispa Black. Close name. Nickname, eh?
The name that she was given at birth, she didn't really. Gibbs adopted it, and by technicality, so did its mother when it dragged her home. However, yeah. However, that doesn't mean that she accepted the Kove culture. At least not fully.
Makes sense. You don't have to be thankful.
Exactly. And if I'm being entirely honest, Digsby was. A special kind of asshole, to put it politely.
Best of people are.
Most people would call her cold. Not Gibbs, though.
Most people. Makes sense.
Ironic
Makes sense
how it
indeed.
is now, isn't it? How most people would say that it's cold.
It's dying embers, but it's still got its warmth. I'm presuming that Digsby and Gibbs, or the name that Gibbs went by back then, they would have been a. How do we often put it? Well, perhaps twins, perhaps siblings, that sort of stuff, but a heart and soul duo. Or not heart and soul, heart and mind. That's how we put it.
In more ways than one would expect, yes.
Makes sense, its reaction.
Due to the fact that she had her limits on what it meant to be family with it, she got some benefits of being a Kove. But not all of them. Then again, when they met, it was perhaps a few days after she had hatched. A few days after it had been born. In general. So, they consider themselves twins. Realistically, she had hit adulthood at the age of 3. Meanwhile, it still required to be bottle fed, but that's neither here nor there.
Different species are strange on that front. I mean, just raccoons. It's from what little I know of my own family, you can found family someone into being your twin, even though you're born in the same year or such. That's what my not great, but my uncle taught did apparently with one of his aunts, or one of his sisters, one of my aunts. You get what I'm saying. But that is what you make of it. Ties are what you make of it. And you yourself, you have a twin, and yet you're the oldest and the youngest and all in between. Family's family.
Indeed it is. And there was no greater bond than what the two of them had.
Hmm.
I would like to be nice to its mother and say that it and its mother was the greatest bond, but unfortunately, there wasn't really much. Not without a lack of trying.
It was war.
It was indeed.
I'm sure she did her best in the circumstances that she could, or at least I hope as much. But I understand.
There were mistakes made, but I digress on that.
Aye.
That will be something for later.
Inevitably. And
Mm,
speaking of,
you're going to have a lot of fun with that lighter. It has a lot more uses than simply lighting up a wooden ring. I would suggest lighting it up in here. However, there's always a chance that it could go horribly wrong or horribly right, depending on your look on it.
I'd prefer not to do something related to fire in this home. It's between you and me. There's been a bit too much blaze in this place before, as you already know.
Indeed, I'm well aware. I figured I'd give you a warning.
Thank you.
Bear in mind there is a 50-50 chance of fun things happening when you use that lighter.
Oh, fun is such a complex and intriguing word pick and fantastic. I'm going to do it out in the open in a clearing.
It all
I'm not going to explode. I'm not going to explode. I know gods sometimes just do that. I'd like not to explode.
You won't, no.
Fantastic.
Depending on how you use it.
Terrible. Thank you. I'm just going to let that lie.
Listen, if you
I'm
aim
going
that
to.
at yourself, that is your own problem.
I'm full of hubris and interesting circumstances, so you know what? I'll take that.
Please don't aim it at yourself.
I've already been a singed Sange once in my life. I'd prefer not to join my partner on that front of doing it again.
Then
But
don't aim it at yourself.
I'm not going to now. I'm not going to now. I will heed you on this front unless absolutely necessary, because I cannot control things outside my control. I can make many contingencies. Sometimes events will just happen and I'll have to roll with the punches. I don't pick the dance floor, but I do cut a mean Charleston, if you know what I mean. But is this the only reason you've popped by today?
I don't think you need me to answer that in order for you to understand.
Aye.
Today marks the day that it hits 6 months since Gibbs was kidnapped.
I know.
It's still here. Curious to me, but then again, I don't think any of us are complaining.
So have events changed?
Not by much. It realistically only narrows down the possibilities, which is both good and bad. The longer it takes, the less possibilities there are,
Mm.
for all that entails.
When, after it has happened, it will be gone, won't it?
Define go on.
There will be an end. You have said as such. And we will do what we can. We will do. When the time is right, we will react. A party will come together because we do love it. But no matter what, even if we do recover it, there will be a change, won't there?
To expect otherwise would be foolish.
And so I do not. I am no fool. I don't even know what to. It won't be the same, but it will know happiness in its final moments. And I hope whatever comes after, that whoever and whatever happens, whoever it is, whatever happens, that it will be happy, that it will have some peace.
Will you be okay?
I have no choice in the matter.
Everybody has a choice.
Aye. There is always a choice. There are always options. Sometimes there are options we are unwilling to take, but they are there. But you do not know me fully personally, but you do know the times I've had and the times I will have, and the futures I might have, and the futures I won't. I'm, I'm already broken, as I have told you before, Aeon. I will be okay with this. I have known change. I have known death and not death. I have known alive and not alive. I have known many different contingencies and spirals, and pondered many as I do my contingencies, but this won't push me over any edges. Other things one day might. I don't know. You know the different paths I could take, but my heart's in the right place, and I've got the right connections. I'll see all this through.
Just thought it would be nice to ask.
And I appreciate it. Genuinely. Will Corvitz be okay? And the Spooks, Memoir Chateau, will they? What happens will change them, it will change us all, but will they be okay?
I believe that is up to them to decide. Corverts will have the hardest time.
Well, he will not be alone.
Not for long.
No. I can see that. Is there anything I can do to make things easier for them? Anything I can do beforehand to put in place? Or during?
Perhaps lighting some wood on fire might do you well. Might do you all well. Could also cause quite a few problems. I am sure that not many people would be willing to let such an object go to flames.
Well, it'll be interesting.
You'll like the reward that comes with it. Just,
Oh, I am sure I will.
well, most
I
might.
can predict it.
Some might not. Ethics might become an issue.
That keeps coming up. I am a detective, yet ethics does blur. And you know what? I'm just gonna deal with it. It's fine. I'm planning on becoming a consultant detective instead of an active at some point in the future, so you know what? This all might as well just happen. As long as I don't get into a situation where I get triggered, I'm gonna be fine. A little scruffing among picnics is fine. I'm gonna set fire to shit. Great. Fantastic. Brilliant.
I can't wait to see how you intend to get that ring away from the spooks.
Always. Could just ask. No one ever expects you to just ask. It's great. I've used it before. It's fantastic. But we'll see.
I mean, the fun
You
part
can
would be
see the
hiding
parts
that
of them.
lighter from them, though. Hiding the lighter, your intentions.
I mean, I'm a curious picnic. We'll see.
Yeah,
Can be
sure,
blunt
a
enough.
curious picnic, and that Furbolg. That
It's
particular
very
Furbolg is very attuned to you.
indeed. And I love him for it.
One does not simply waltz into the manor and expect to come out with what they want. If that makes sense.
I mean, it does. But also. Yeah. What will be. Que será, será. And hey, whatever happens, results ought to be good.
Good and chaotic. Prepare for some lively interactions.
Ah. And it is the most sarcastic throwing our hands in the air at that. Alright. Alright. Anything else you wish to impart today?
There was one other thing.
Hmm. Enlighten me.
Well, for one thing, stop letting Gibbs eat honey. Stop it.
Is it allergic?
It is very allergic. The fact that it hasn't keeled over yet is concerning.
Noted. I mean, I give it soup and sandwiches and bread is cut in interesting shapes and that sort of stuff, and also a useful thing that I figured out in getting Corvitz to eat. Not because Corvitz needs to eat, but because I know it will make it eat. But noted, I will find a way of avoiding the honey and informing other people of the honey. Yeah, okay.
Honey and bees. Because
I
in
mean,
this
that makes
world, honey, bees make honey.
okay. Before you go any further, I can tell by the way you have said that in other universes, other places, that is not the case. I don't want to know. Don't tell me.
You really
I
don't.
do not. Don't. No, that's why I'm telling you. Don't tell me, okay? It's that can be one of the life's greatest secrets that this detective don't find out. Sometimes knowledge should be kept in a box. Sometimes it should be sealed away, never to be known, and that can stay dead wherever it came from.
You could always
I
ask
don't want it.
Gibbs, though.
I don't want to know. I don't want. I don't. I don't. No. And there is just a hum from the building, and Lynn's plait getting ruffled, which almost seems like a pat pat. Alright. So, adding honey to the list of no-nos. Honey and bees. Fantastic. Marvellous. Alright. That be all?
Gibbs enjoys being held.
Well, we can do that. I can do that. Thank you.
They don't say anything. They just slowly fade with their eyes and mouth being the last things to go. And then time restarts again.
Until we meet again. And she looks at the lighter and the puzzle box, which she will let Network have, and at the chaos around her, which she's inevitably going to have to get to work with.
Just to spite her, something falls in the next room over.
And she does just give this very soft under her breath laugh. Just alright. No rest for the wicked. And then instead of getting up straight away, it takes a moment to go through Unseen Servant. And then as her chair gets pulled back by Network, her cane does come into hand. And as she gets up to putter around and sort everything out, she does use it.
The more that she uses it, the more that she discovers that, there wasn't quite as much that she needed to pick up as she previously thought.
And she's gonna be silently grateful for that.
They made her work
Yeah,
for it, but
indeed. And she will admit it is a bomb ass cane. Especially the fact that it is actually like Jacques says, it is a sword cane, and when she figures that out, she is going to flip in the happiest way possible. She can hit people with it. It's got a really nice pumpkin brass head. She can hit people with it. It will hurt. And she can use it when need be for, rape you.
stabby.
But you need the stabby. And it's got the heft for someone who's a barbarian. Because, yeah, Aeon, that's part of the reason why she had to wait. Because, unlike a normal bard, she go into heavy combat. She had to get that shit reinforced, and most places you can't go, hey, I want this, and them go, They're fucking insane.
Meanwhile, you could
She's
easily just go to Juniper and she'll be like, okay.
Juniper does certain things. This is one of those very unique things on that front. Juniper does boats and such, and a lot of mechanics. I gesture at there are niches.
I also gesture at the fact that she does fill a certain niche that nobody has yet to figure out yet.
Wonderful. We would love to explore that.
I mean,
I
it's
am
right in
grinning.
front of your guys' faces. None of you have seen it.
I mean, I'm looking at the walker.
Oh, the walker doesn't actually do anything yet.
Ah, yet. Yet.
Yet.
Yet. What?
I
God
do.
almighty.
I do just look directly at the cane that Gerald has.
Oh, aye. We're very aware of the king that Gerald has and how very cool it is. God.
He has yet to use it.
Aye, and we're all pretty damn grateful for that, seeing as the reason why one would have to use that. But another time, another place, which is not lost on me that we have been talking about the time god all this time. Babble, as always, this has been fantastic. I love you.
I love you. I enjoyed this far too much.
It was great. They heckled.
They heckled each other. It was fantastic.
Alright, shall we say goodbye to our wonderful audience?
Heck yeah, man. Goodbye, everybody.
Bye, picnics!
Hope you enjoyed the chaos.